Dear viewers, Pravin Soni, who needs no introduction, has pointed out that Operation Sindoor has been a major setback for India's strategic ties with the US. Adding that New Delhi ties with Moscow are on thin ice at this point in time, with India's relationship with China is not even normal. Let's listen into him.
Good morning. Operation Sindoor has been a major setback for India's strategic ties with America, which, if not over, are already on life support. Now, this is a colossal setback for India's foreign policy, considering India has invested a lot of time and energy in this single relationship, which is the centerpiece of India's foreign policy today. When we talk of strategic relations between countries, we are talking of long-term relationship where the foreign policy objectives of both the countries are met. Those are strategic ties. Now, as far as the other two great powers of the world are concerned in present multipolar world, China and Russia, India's relations with Russia today are on thin ice. And regarding China, let alone strategic ties, even normal ties with Beijing will not be possible as long as the Modi government is in power. Let me focus on India's relations with America. Now, it was clear to the Indian establishment within days of Trump's swearing in that his focus or his foreign policy was very unlike the foreign policy of his predecessors. Trump was not interested in a security competition with China in the Indian Ocean region. And as far as India is concerned, India had a strategic role to play in the Indian Ocean region as well as Quad, which is again a part of that. So the worry here in India was that the strategic relations between India and America under the Trump administration would diminish, and that would impact its own foreign policy, which I'll explain in a while. So something else had to be done. And so rightly the Indian establishment zeroed on MAGA. Now Trump has promised his voter base MAGA, which is Make America Great Again. So India decided that this will be the centerpiece of its strategic ties with America. Therefore, within a month of Trump swearing in, Prime Minister Modi was in Washington and the two leaders signed a joint statement on 13th February 2025 where India promised a lot of things to buy from America as part of its MAGA agenda, to enhance the MAGA agenda. And the centerpiece of the joint statement is Mission 500. So what has been promised is that from the present bilateral trade between the two countries, which stands at $200 billion, it will be increased in the next 5 years to $500 billion by 2030. And all that was to be included in the trade was getting the green technology, big technology from America, energy, defense, space issues, besides other things. So this was a very big thing. And Trump was obviously very happy about it. And so was India. And then Operation Sindoor happened. And two big things came to the fore. The first was that President Trump repeatedly, he said at least 28 times that he is the man who got the ceasefire between India and Pakistan and prevented a nuclear war.
Mr. Soni highlight what he says the two things that Operation Sindoor brought to the fore that seem to have caused irreparable damage to US-India strategic relationship.
At least 28 times that he is the man who got the ceasefire between India and Pakistan and prevented a nuclear war. Now, as far as Pakistan was concerned, they immediately understood the importance of what Trump was saying. And their foreign minister, Ishaq Dar, he thanked publicly President Trump for the ceasefire, and Pakistan also nominated President Trump for doing this to the Nobel Peace Prize. Now in India, there was a lot of laughter, derision on the thing. And as far as Indian establishment was concerned, the Prime Minister himself, Modi, in the debate in the parliament on this special session of Sindoor, the farthest that he could go in the repeated claim made by President Trump was to say that no world leader asked India to stop the operations. Nothing more than that, which is really saying nothing, not helping Trump at all. But the problem of the Indians was that Modi could not have said, given the credit to President Trump, because Modi in India's foreign policy has to be projected as a very strong leader. So that was not possible for India to do that. But when you see things from Trump's perspective, Trump MAGA is one aspect of his foreign policy, that he has something that he has promised to his voter base. The other thing that he promised to the voter base was that he would end forever wars. He would not be a war president, he would be a peace president. He wanted to end the war in Ukraine, where he has failed, and he wanted to end the wars in Middle East, where once again he has failed. Therefore, Trump needed a way out. He wanted something where he has contributed to peace. So this was that one big thing where he wanted to take credit. And that was being denied by the Indian establishment. You see, he did get credit for the Cambodia-Thailand war, where he said that I brokered the ceasefire, and the Cambodian government thanked him publicly, and now the Cambodian government is even contemplating nominating Trump for the peace, Nobel Peace. But that is different from India and Pakistan, since both the countries are nuclear weapon countries. Now when you see things, this whole thing, Trump repeatedly saying 28 times a ceasefire that he brokered, then there is a bit of a merit from his perspective also. Please recall that on 6th, 7th night, Defense Minister Rajnath Singh has said in the parliament that within half an hour of India starting the operation, Indian DGMO reached out to the DGMO of Pakistan saying that we want a ceasefire, we don't want escalation. And we also know that early morning 8th May, Ajit Doval reached out to his American counterpart, Marco Rubio, who doubles both as the NSA as well as the Secretary of State of America. And he gave everything what had happened between India and Pakistan. All the details were given to Marco Rubio, and all this is there, that he spoke with Marco Rubio in a press release that was issued by the Indian Embassy in Washington. And we know that other officials also from the Indian establishment, they were in touch with their counterparts in America. Now, Marco Rubio, after talking with Doval, he also said that America was very closely monitoring the India-Pakistan situation, and that President Trump wanted an early ceasefire.
Mr. Soni says that US President claim that he had brokered a ceasefire between India and Pakistan has merit. Basing his argument on a precedent, Mr. Soni refers to Operation Parakram in 2002, when the India's Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee sounded the war cry.
Contributed, we do not know. But there is a precedence with the BJP governments. Please remember the last BJP government, that was the Vajpayee government. Now Vajpayee government did Operation Parakram in May of 2002, asked Condoleezza Rice that I cannot stop the war here on my own. The war lobby in India is very strong and I need some help. It was after he told this to Condoleezza Rice that she spoke with President Bush, and President Bush spoke with General Musharraf, and things were eased out between India and Pakistan. We know all this because Condoleezza Rice has written about this in a book, No Higher Honor. So you see, this is the problem. Perhaps after much time, we will come to know also what exact was the contribution of President Trump in this India-Pakistan ceasefire.
Mr. Soni explains in a highly effective manner that how President Trump reached the conclusion that all the 5 fighter jets that were shot down between India-Pakistan conflict in May were Indian Air Force planes. Let's listen into him yet again.
Now the other thing is, perhaps having got the intelligence from his own community, from his own people, President Trump publicly said that wanting to emphasize the intensity of the Indo-Pakistan war, that 5 jets were down. But he was hoping that Prime Minister Modi or somebody from India would say as to how many were their jets. But once again, from the Indian side, there was no reaction. leading to his conclusion what he the input he got from his own intelligence agency and from Asim Munir when they had the lunch, that perhaps all these 5 jets which were down were of the Indian Air Force, and therefore he would have come to the conclusion that Pakistan is actually militarily a peer competitor of the Indian military, and hence there is a need that America can engage with Pakistan because Americans believe in military power. And because of that, we have seen that the strategic ties between America and Pakistan, they have strengthened, because America is looking at two things from Pakistan, something that I elaborated in my last video, and those two things are they are looking at Pakistan help for stability in Afghanistan, and the other is that through Pakistan they are looking at some sort of a foothold in the region to keep an eye, to keep a watch on the Eurasian landmass.
Pointing out that the US doesn't believe in a partnerships, Mr. Soni says that President Trump is not happy with India buying oil and weapons from Russia.
And he is not happy with India buying Russian oil as well as defense equipment, and this will make the relationship very, very difficult in the days to come. And all this has happened because of Operation Sindoor. Now,
Minya Zabud Zainab Sarfraz Ahmad, Karachi, Pakistan. Ana Zainab Sarfraz Ahmad, Karachi, Pakistan.